Guys, how's it going? I hope everything is going well. Welcome to this lovely Monday morning. I have a few things to say before we get started. Number one, we'll be sharing a video today by one of my favorite content creators. Again, it's fair use, but we're also going to give him the recognition that he needs, which is Trent Sheldon. So, what we're going to do is in the YouTube link, we're going to tag the video for you guys to go and watch the full video without our commentary on it. You can literally just watch his full video. The reason why we share videos, guys, it's to not to bash the content creator, not to put them down, but to add some feedback to what it is they're saying, so to transform their content. Some people do it for funny reasons. Some people do it for commentary. We're doing it just to add a fresher perspective to what the content creator is saying. So we are transforming the content to some shape, way, or form. So we are going to put the link in our bio for you guys to go watch the full video. But
Happy
if there's
days.
anything you want to say, Anthea, go right ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say good morning to everybody. I hope everyone's having a good day so far. Here in the UK, it's 11:30, so it is still morning. But yeah, I'm looking forward to today's one. And like you rightfully said about the videos, it's nice to get other people's perspective on it and for us to kind of go through it and take our take on it and our personal experiences. So I hope you guys enjoy today, and we are looking forward to this one actually.
Yeah, because again, this is one where a lot of people struggle understanding what went wrong in their relationship, why it failed, right? Because again, I don't like to say that relationships fail because things in life start and begin, right?
Mm.
Like we can't only look at the good side of things. Relationships will end or they will change.
Mm.
So the more adaptable we are to change, the better it is for us. Instead of always looking at the positive, like, oh my god, my relationship ended. If it ended, it ended. Like if you guys couldn't make it work, you couldn't make it work.
Yep. And it takes two to make it work. So if only one's putting the effort in and the other one isn't, you don't need it in your life anyway, right? It's not worth
Well,
it.
well, that's what's interesting because they could have been working in the beginning, but at some point they could have stopped working. You could have
Yeah.
been 2 years into a relationship, and then all of a sudden, they just gave up.
Yeah.
Um,
And it just depends. It depends on the type of relationship you're having and like, where both of you are coming from. And if like we've said from the beginning, and we were going to speak about, I think on Wednesday, about vetting your partner. And I just wanted to add, actually, it's quite funny because I was watching something last night, and there was a couple that have been together for a number, I think around 3 or 4 years, and really, really got on like the best relationship you could ever look at. It was just a beautiful, amazing relationship. Now they decided to get married, and then shortly after, the girl fell pregnant, and then she miscarried, and then she realized what she wanted, but he realized that's what he wanted. All he could see was family. He was so excited, wanted to try again to try and get pregnant, and came to him and said, it's like you've realized that you to have this family and babies and all of that. She says, I don't want it, and I don't want it today. I don't want it in 5 years. I don't want it in 10 years. I just don't want it. I like us how we are, and I want us to continue as we are. And it's funny because you think 3 4 years together, they hadn't had that conversation to whether they want children or not. And it took them to get married and then actually fall pregnant to actually both realize what they actually wanted. And I
was
just found that
different.
really interesting, really, really interesting that the conversation hadn't been had.
And you see, and that's right. I mean, we're going to talk about that on Friday because we have a special guest on Wednesday um, about how
On
to vet your
Friday, we have
partner
the special
properly.
guest.
But you see, relationships they can end for thousands of reasons, right? There's never ever one particular reason, but there's always like the few main ones, right? So what we're gonna do today is
Mm.
cover the few main ones, um, on what this amazing content creator has suggested. And obviously, he's been in the field a lot longer, so it's going to be very interesting to hear his perspective. And it's somebody that you guys have all maybe heard of, maybe you haven't heard of. Um, I listened to a lot of his stuff before, so for me, it's nothing new. But I'm really looking forward to you guys hearing what he has to say on the subject, because again, I think it's going to be very fruitful and it's going to be very transformative and information wise for you guys to understand that there's different forms of relationships. And this is not even just romantically, man. Like, this is even on a friendship level, this is even on a
Mm.
dating level, coworker level, like all of it. So he's gonna go through it all. We're gonna listen. We're gonna I guess add extra onto his feedback of what it is he's saying. And then from doing that, we're gonna make it better, right? So we're really looking forward to I guess not picking it apart, but only adding more positive feedback to what it is he's saying. So let's get ready. We're gonna break it down. The video's not too long, but we're gonna be able to break it down.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm live. So comments now, finally. What's Instagram? So make sure right after the end. Again, this is my only profile that's free. I send inspiration. Begin the comments for a minute. What's up with y'all? Tasha, 1,000 people before I start. Attention to our phone, then we do our partner. I definitely had it where I couldn't see it, but I want to pour into you guys. I'm gonna wait till it gets to about 4,000 people before I start. Relationships fail because too many people paying attention to social media instead of each other. Brian, I feel you with that, man. I always say, a lot of relationships fail because we give more attention to our phone than we do our partner. I definitely agree with that. Thank you. Somebody said you've been a motivational speaker for a while. It's a share button. Tell people to tune in because there's somebody who needs this message that has no idea that this live is going on. I won't be here long. We're going to Instagram right after this. My Instagram is at Trent Show. So I have a special Creed Academy. Okay. So, but if you're not a part of my text relationship, I'm not just talking about, intimate relationships. That's one of them. I'm not just, I'm talking about relationships, friendships, any ship that's selling, right? Partnerships, business ships, everything. I want to just talk about real quick. There's a lot of reasons why relationships fail, but I want to talk about 4 or 5 main reasons why I think relationships fail. Number one, okay? Number one, and write this down when I say it because I want somebody taking notes. Number one, a lot of relationships fail because there's no communication. Okay, when I mean communication, let's take it a step further. I mean connection. Somebody had just said we spend more time on our phone than we do our partner, and it's true. We've all been guilty of it. A lot of times we spend more time looking down than we spend looking up. We spend more time disconnected, right, from our significant other or from our friends because we're so connected to a world full of strangers. And I'm not saying that social media is the cause because we have to take responsibility. But when we don't have connection, all right, we can't go heart to heart. Connection is the oxygen. Let's write this down. Oh, I'm about to get crunk. Connection is the oxygen. Is the oxygen to your relationship. It's the oxygen to your friendship. What's connection? It's a deeper form of communication because anybody can communicate. You can communicate in ignorance, you can communicate in anger, but to really connect with somebody, you have to understand that person, right? You have to take time to feel that person. Connection is the oxygen to your relationship. Without it, it will die. Most people don't communicate. Most people hold things in. Most people don't talk. When's the last time you talked to your significant other about what was going on in their life? What's the last time you talked about your dreams, your goals for each other? When's the last time you talked to your friends about that? Okay? Without connection, without communication, your relationship, your friendship will die. It is the oxygen to your relationship. If you feel that, send me a heart. If you feel that, let me know in the comments, okay? Relationships film if we get to here. Exactly. I'm going to add that too because that's a great point, Joy. A lot of times in relationships, we're not even hearing each other. We're always just trying to argue. I always say, man, in anything, one of the greatest things that you can have is actually understanding, right? Understanding the person. When you actually feel that person and you're listening, uninterrupted, right? You're actually giving your full undivided attention. The most important, The most important thing you can give to a person, listen to me, is attention, right? Is focused attention. And you let that person know that what they're talking about or their presence in that moment, they're the most important thing to you. Okay? Focused attention. Not talking to them while the TV's on, not talking to them and thinking about something else.
Okay, so I actually wanted to break that point down. He said some pretty amazing things right there. I do agree with him that a lot of times we're on our phone. So give me 2 seconds.
Not talking to them and putting down your.
Yes, so I want to break that point down. He said about communication. A lot of times we're on our phone when we're talking to somebody, and I've been guilty of this too, even on the live stream. Um, they don't get your full attention, right? Like I've gone out to dinner with a pastor friend of mine who teaches me a lot of stuff about God and stuff. And one time I was just on my phone, like on it, and he said, "I hope you know that you're being rude right now." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "I'm here in your presence right now, giving you wisdom and knowledge, and you could be missing on something that could change your life right now."
And he doesn't have to be there doing that. So I think it's
No,
like I think it's a big respect thing as well, Michael. I think
it is.
I think like if somebody's talking to you, like it's one of those things that it actually, if I'm speaking with someone and they're on their phone, like I just stop talking. Like there's no reason for me to talk. You're on your phone. You can't do both. And I've probably been guilty of it as well. Like, or I'm on my phone, or someone starts talking to me. I try to be quite aware of that to say, just give me 1 second so I can finish doing what I'm doing. Because I think it is rude. I think it's very disrespectful, and I think if that's how you're going to continue in a relationship, then it's not going to work out. Because how are you going to ever hear each other if every time that, not every time, but if you're going to just keep being on your phone when that person you, you're going to feel like you're not valued in any way or form, because you're not being heard, you're not being listened. And if you're in an intimate relationship, then you're not going to be being intimate with one another and being on the phone at the same time, or the other. So it's a choice at the same time. And I think if there is a huge respect there, then you just wouldn't do it. Do it absentmindedly, yes, but once you just said, like, you was out with somebody with a pastor and he's giving you knowledge and wisdom, and you absentmindedly are on your phone just replying that, but then you've probably never done that again with him, Michael, right? Because he said it and
No,
you
I haven't.
right, because you have
No, I
respect
haven't.
for him. Now, did you not, if you had not respected this guy, then you wouldn't have cared what he said, and you would have continued and been like, so what? I don't care. But because you have respect for him, you listened, and you didn't feel like you was being told off or being told what to do. You just took it to the right way that it's come across to you, to say, well, actually, I am being rude, I am being disrespectful by doing this, and then you stopped doing that, right?
Exactly. Well, I think the most important thing is he says it's giving somebody your full undivided attention, because when you don't do that, what you're showing is what they're talking about is not that important to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
literally what you're coming off across, is what they're saying is not, and especially in a romantic context.
Yes.
And like you're texting, you're on the phone, like you're whatever, what you're saying is, yeah, what you have to say is not that important to me.
Yeah.
And that's why, as he said, anybody can communicate, and that's true. Communication is what's the word I'm looking
Every
for?
aspect.
It's very
It's,
easy. It's very easy to do, but how many people are actually hearing what's being told to them?
what also, like he said, and I think and this is something that so many people find easy to communicate. They find it easy to communicate the things they don't like, what angers them, what frustrates them. They find it so communicate that, and they'll just say it, they'll just blurt it out, not really thinking nothing of it. But when it comes down to the true heart to heart, positive, good feeling, sharing how you feel about somebody, I think that's where the communication breaks down, because people don't do that enough.
I would say so, yeah. And I'm going to add a caveat to that. If you cannot talk to your partner about the serious things, as Anthea said, then they're not for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
If
You've
you
got
if have like that fear, like, oh, I want to talk about this, but then like you know how they're gonna react, or like there's that fear, then I think you have a sign or a communication problem that they might not be for you. Because why would you be with someone that you can't talk to?
Absolutely. But I think, I think if we go back a step on that one, and there's people who are insecure or feel they've had previous relationships where they feel like they haven't been able to speak, and they might just have that
Mm,
thing inside them and they need to get past that. And if once they get past that in themselves, and like we can get in our own heads and think too much,
yeah.
like, is it the right time? Is it not? What shall I say? Or shall I say it this way? Or shall I speak to them on the phone? Or shall I do it over text message? Or those kind of things, I think, can be quite natural. But then I think if you go to what you just said, once you do sit down and communicate, or you feel, or you have reached out and they're not
Reciprocating.
reciprocating to you, that's when you know there's a problem, because you've now overcome your own blockage or your own fear, and you've
Mm,
gone for it anyway. And if they're not reciprocating towards that, and you've tried a number of times, and they just don't want to talk about it, or they're not interested, then it's clearly telling you that they don't have enough interest in what you have to say,
mm,
or the subject at hand, which is your romantic relationship, to be able to move forward with you. So therefore, it's you can't take it personally. I think we said this last time.
no.
You just got to take it as that's what it is. And
You
it's
said
either
something very interesting, though. Like, very interesting about the person, like, being hurt from the past and how they have to get over it, right? If you are in that space, you shouldn't be dating, because you dealing with trauma or things from the past, it's not my problem. If
mm,
you have like because, like, let's say you've been burned in the past, or like you've been let down or hurt, or you've had that happen to you, right? So now all you've done is bring that into the new relationship, so the new relationship suffers because of it.
mm,
So that's why I always say that you need to deal with that individually before you even get into someone, because it's not fair that you date this new person and then you're making them wait for you to open up, for you to get to that space, when that person knows that there's been people in your past where you were at that space with them.
mm.
But because you've got burned, like, we've all been burned, but why should another person have to suffer for another person's mistakes?
Yeah, they shouldn't. No, they shouldn't. And I totally get that, completely. And I think one thing that's come to light for me is that I not having taken on someone else's baggage and coming towards me is something that I definitely do not want in my life. And I've become very clear in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like,
like
it doesn't make sense, because it's like you meet someone and, like, I have been cheated on, and, like, yeah, that sucks, but then we all know that there's been damage for that. When a person's cheated on you or done like some type of nefarious thing, either in a friendship or a relationship, but then, like, you're bringing it up and you're like, hey, like, I've been hurt before, so I kind of have to take things slow. At that point, then I'm like, then you need to go be single. We don't need to be together. You can go be single.
yeah, because we don't
Because
need to take it on, right?
no, because being in a relationship with you is more work than it needs to be, because you haven't healed.
Yeah. Or
Because
if they
that's the thing. I'm not saying those people are bad people, but what I'm saying is getting in a relationship with them is very difficult, because if you do anything that triggers remotely anything that the past person did, it becomes a problem.
mm,
Anything you've done. So it's like anything you do might be a trigger for them.
absolutely. Or if they still have things from their past that's coming into your present relationship. Again, yeah, it's a no. It's just a
Yeah,
no.
because it could be a trigger if they've been cheated on, right? And they're like, let's say their ex partner was probably out late at night all the time, and let's say one time you're out late at night, they're automatically, are you cheating on me?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're like, hey, like I was out with a friend or I was working late, and a lot of their insecurities get projected into the relationship
Easily, so
easily.
easily.
So
Yeah.
I'm never saying that you shouldn't date somebody that's been cheated on. I'm not saying you shouldn't date someone that hasn't been divorced, but what I am saying is the hurdle is going to be a lot bigger.
And I think what you're saying also is date someone who's healed.
Yeah, and that depends exactly, have they done the work?
Yeah, it's so
They
important to hear
healed.
that and understand if they've done the work or not, and you will know
Yeah.
that.
Well, you got
Um,
to ask the question like, have you gone to therapy? Like, what have you done to do the work?
yeah, what is it?
Um, because a lot of times, and I'm going to say this bluntly, a lot of people like getting into relationships, right? Romantically, friendship wise, whatever you want to call it, but they don't study relationships, which makes no sense to me. You want a relationship, but you don't study relationship dynamics. You don't read books about healing. You don't read books about masculine and femininity. You don't read books about enforcing boundaries. You don't read books about love, but yet you're expecting to be prosperous in your relationship. It does not make sense to me because that's like saying, well, I'm going to be a doctor, but I'm not going to study Jack. I'm going to be this or a doctor or whatever and not study nothing. If you
Oh,
want your
yeah,
relationship to be successful or a relationship or any relationship that you deal with, you need to study relationship dynamics.
absolutely,
So you
absolutely.
don't end up a statistic. You need to understand attachment styles. You need to understand boundaries. You need to understand all of it. That's why I love what we do on this podcast because it makes me study relationship dynamics. So I understand what went wrong in a lot of my past relationships so I don't make the same mistakes going forward. And then I understand to study more to put myself in positions where I can listen more, understand more, be better more, not be as passive, learn to be more assertive as a male and masculine energy, and then deal with a woman that knows how to lead with feminine energy. But you won't know any of these things if you don't study them.
So true, right?
So I think that's a key caveat. Like anybody that's single or in a relationship, take the time to study relationships. It will save your relationship. It will help you get into a better relationship because you'll have a lot of people, and I know that we're side caveating here, will say, well, I'm a good girlfriend or I'm a good boyfriend. Where's the evidence of that?
Mm,
If your relationships have ended, they all end. But I'm saying, where is the evidence of it? What have you learned? What are you not? What mistakes are you not making again? That's what I'm saying. Where is the evidence of growth? Hey, I've gone to therapy. Hey, I'm reading this, and this book. There should be evidence or proof that you have that you're knowledgeable in the relationship dynamics.
and you're implementing it. At the end of the day,
Yeah, and
you
you're
can,
implementing
yeah,
it.
because you can have knowledge, but knowledge when it's not implemented, it doesn't really mean anything. So I think you've got to be willing to take it on board and really study it and be able to implement what you're learning. And I know, like, you know, even just doing these podcasts has opened my eyes and helped me in so many ways. And I know I've read a number of books on relationships in the past. Um, and you know, just reading through them and being around a person at the time helped me immensely to understand what was happening and the dynamics of what was happening, and be able to make the decision whether to stay or walk away. And I think, you know, you can implement that at any time, and I can, and even like these conversations right here right now helps me to understand in my present life what's happening. And I think it is so powerful, so I can tell you from experience, and like that, by listening, by taking note, by understanding and implementing, it will help you. Like it just
Yeah.
does. It helps you become super clear on what's going on and what you're willing to put up with and what you're willing not to put up with. Because, you know, a lot of the time we do bypass things because we think, well, you know, there's things that you can say that are really positive, and then there's a few things that you go, okay, they're not so great. But actually you've got to look at the bigger picture. It's not just one piece of the pie that you're looking at here. This is somebody that you're looking to spend maybe the rest of your life with, and as a life partner. So if you're looking for a life partner, I think you've got to be very clear on moving forward and what it is you both want and what you're
Well, you
willing
got to
to.
understand yourself. You got to
Yeah,
understand them. But this is why, like, look, guys, look. Usually, I don't do this, but I see this book right here. It's called "What Women Want in a Man," and one of the chapters is called "Taking Control of Your Emotions."
yeah,
Most
big
people don't
time.
know how to do that.
No, a lot of women don't know how to do that. I think that's a very that's a female thing. I think, Michael. I really
Yeah,
believe that,
well,
and
even
I'm
for
not putting,
men,
even for
some men
men. Yes,
don't.
yeah, some men don't. No, you're very right. They don't. But I think on a larger scale, there's a lot of females that don't know how to take hold of their emotions, because there is hormones involved. There's other things
Yeah,
involved when it comes to a woman. And I'm not putting women down because I'm one of these women that had to learn about my emotions and still learning. Like, I think you're never going to stop learning about yourself. You're always going to try and turn up to, if you're in that space where you're trying to be the best you can only do that day by day, minute by minute, let's say. So I think every time you read a sentence, that sentence can be implemented somewhere, maybe, you know.
yeah. Like that's why
So
I think it's so important because look, there's even a chapter in here called "Nice Guys Give Their Power Away to Women."
yeah.
So important for people to read. Another great book, "The Way of the Superior Man," helps you understand female dynamics, male dynamics. This is why I read this type of stuff so then you understand. Like, for example, there's a chapter in here that says tolerating her leads to resenting her. If you tolerate bad behavior, you're gonna end up hating your woman.
And I've
That's
seen that. I've seen that.
yeah,
I've actually seen that. I've seen it with people so many times over the years where there's such bad behavior and then the resentment becomes more than, and the way they speak about the lady is, and you wouldn't expect that to come from them, but they're such in that place where they've tolerated it for so long, or that they're just spilling out every negative thing about that person that they can think of
there
for
you go.
themselves, right? And you don't want to get to that. You don't want anyone speaking about you like that at the end of the day. Doesn't, you know, like we're on this planet once as who we are. And I think if you can turn up to be the best you can be, then you haven't got people ever speaking about you like that, because I think that's one of the something that I know
Yeah, don't
personally.
tolerate bad behavior.
Yeah, just don't tolerate it, so you don't have to ever
Yeah,
experience that. But like what he was saying about communication and connection, I just think that is so important. It is the number one thing, because if you're not connected, if you're not communicating and you're not connecting, then there's no relationship. I think it's as quite straightforward as that. It's as black as
it
white as that,
is.
Michael, isn't it? Like, we don't speak to everybody because we don't have a connection with everybody and we're not
Yeah.
interested in everybody. We're
See,
not.
like, I'll give you the best form of communication. And sorry to cut you off. See, in this book, it says, don't suggest that a female fix her own problems. That's a form of communication. Don't try to fix your girl. That's
Yeah.
a form of communication. But as men, we are fixers. We always want to try to fix something. Don't fix it. Just listen. But you see what I'm saying? That's how communication helps you understand those type of things, because a lot of times your girl will come to you with a problem. You're trying to fix it. You're trying to be Mr. Fix It because that's in your nature as a man to want to fix things. But maybe she doesn't want you to fix it. Maybe she just wants you to listen. And that's a good form of communication.
Yeah. And most of the time you just want them to listen to what you're saying and hear you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if you can listen, absolutely. But if they're not hearing you and they don't, yeah, nothing, there's no change to what you've actually just spoken about, then it's just as bad as not hearing you in the first place. You might as well not listen. It's like if you have an interest in that person, you're going to want to hear what they've got to say. You're going to want to put your time and energy into them. And if you're not interested, then you just don't. It's just, I think it's as black and white again as that. Somebody who has no interest in you, just not going to hear you, not going to take the time for you, doesn't care what you say. And
see, I'm going to say this as a caveat, though. I'm all about communication. I'm all about listening, right? I have no problem with that. But I think you have to set the tone, whoever you are, male or female, is if this person's going to come to you with their problems, they better come to you with the problem with a solution.
Yes.
I would add that as a caveat. Don't come to me just to complain.
Yes.
Come to me with a solution. Yeah, like come to me with a solution, because you're just wasting your breath and you're wasting my time when you just want to complain.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Yes, communication is important. And as he said, being able to communicate your goals, your dreams, all those things, whatever you got going on. But if you're going to communicate to me something that you're struggling with, you got to come to me with a solution as well, too. Because I'm not just going to candidly listen to you rant for 30 minutes and there was no solution. It was just for you to rant. So that's something that I definitely wanted to add into there. But we'll continue on the video. We just gave you guys a little side stuff, but there were some great nuggets in there.
Your phone is disrespectful, right? It's disrespectful. It shows that you don't care when somebody's talking. So not just relationships, but in general, when somebody's talking, give them your full undivided attention or don't give them your attention at all. It's just facts. Okay. So number one, most relationships fail because they lack communication. They lack understanding, and communication is the oxygen to your relationship. Okay. Number two, like I said, there's a lot of other things too, but number two, another reason why relationships fail, because people are freaking selfish. Okay? People are freaking selfish. Remember this. Write this down. Tattoo it on your brain. Selfishness will never create togetherness. If you're in a relationship, a friendship, a partnership, a businessship, it can't be all about you and it can't be all about them. It's all about y'all, right? It's about all about each other. Selfishness will never create togetherness. What I've seen, right? I've had past experience in my life, and what I've seen today, and I understand, right? Sometimes you're not getting what you deserve. I understand that, but don't take this out of context. Sometimes we can be so focused on what we're not getting from another person, so focused on complaints, so focused on what they're not doing, so focused on how they're not showing up, so focused on what they're not giving you. And it might be truth, but we can be so focused on what they're not giving, right? Or we can be so focused on what you're not getting, that you don't realize what you're not giving that person, right? You can be so focused on, I'm not getting this, but what are you giving, right? You can't expect to get something that you're not giving. You can't.
Wow. Well, guys, you see, that's a big one. And I hate to say it, I agree with him, because some people are selfish, unfortunately. Yeah. Because they don't understand that a relationship is not what you can get from it, it's what you can give. But a lot of times people are more interested in what they can take. As he said, they're focused that they're not doing this and they're not doing that and they're not. It's passing the buck. Instead of saying, well, what am I not giving to them for them to give back?
And it is, again, back to self-responsibility, isn't it? To have to look at yourself to see what is it that you're not doing. I
I've been guilty of it.
It's a tricky one as well, because like he said, you can, it's one of them where you can see all the things that they're not doing and all the things that can be coming to you that you don't want. And then it's so easy to get caught into that, but to bring it back to yourself and say, well, what am I doing? And then most of the time we think, oh, we're doing all right. There's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. So any, you know what, Michael, any pointers to people to say, what can you do in that situation if you're constantly looking at what they're not giving? What can you do?
Ooh,
What can
okay.
you, what can you bring? What can you show? What is it? What can someone bring to somebody to show, well, I am turning up? What is it? What's going to
I would
make a
I would say
difference?
number one, take accountability. Because in a relationship, as soon as you start pointing the finger, now that's where arguments start. Because you're not coming from a positive place. You're saying, well, you're not doing all of these things, but I'm doing all of this for you. So I would say it's more of a sense of assessing the relationship together, especially if it's romantic. As I said, the monthly check ins every month. Hey, sweetie, do you want to sit down where we can talk about, is there anything that you want to share that we can improve in the relationship? It's little things like that that are going to help your relationship, because a lot of times, as I said, in a relationship, people are very selfish. They're more focused on what they can get instead of what they can give. Right? Why are you so focused on what they're doing? Focus on what you're doing. And once you can take that spotlight off them and point it on yourself and say, okay, what am I not doing? Because as you said, we're always thinking, I'm doing a lot. Okay, but what are you doing? Where is the evidence of that? Are you showing up? Are you listening? Are you, and that's the thing, relationships are not always smooth sailing. So it's more of a sense of togetherness. It's more of a sense of reassessing the relationship every single time, every single month. And I think when you can do that, that's when you can have the best relationship with somebody, is taking the time to understand, but also taking the time to understand that the relationship is not all about you. And I've been there. I've been very selfish in relationships sometimes. And the relationship isn't about them. The relationship isn't about you. If the relationship is about, it's about the relationship. What are you guys doing that's best for the relationship is what's important.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Michael. It's so true. What are you doing? What's best for the relationship? Because we do just put ourselves in the mix all the time.
Yeah, like my needs, your
Yeah,
needs. It's like, no, what
yeah,
what is best for the relationship going forward?
yeah. And I think this is why so many relationships fail, because this isn't happening. It's that conversations are not happening. People are not stopping to understand and check in and see if everything is okay on that person's side, if there's anything they want you to do different, not different as in like be somebody different, but they might say, look, you only call me once every 3 days. It'll be nice to hear from you daily.
It's
And
what we can do. It's not about what they can do. It's what we can do. This is a
yeah,
partnership.
yeah.
Mhm.
But I think you've
Because
got to
that's,
listen to what they want as well, so that you can bring that to the table, because everyone's going to want something different
oh
within
yeah,
the
yeah. But
relationship.
that's the thing. In that relationship, it's what we can do together, right? So we all have different wants and needs. And we've covered this too. But
Mm,
that's the thing. It's what can we do to move it along together? Because when you look at it, let's say, for example, you give a beautiful example. You want to hear from the person every day, correct? Let's say hypothetically, right? But what happens if they're not in a position in life to do that? What happens if they're running a business all the time and they can't call you all the time? What happens if they can only shoot you a text? What happens if they can only shoot you a voice note?
but you have to respect that.
Then you got to adjust to that. That's what I
Yeah,
mean.
you
Like
have
you
to.
got to adjust to that,
Yeah, absolutely.
because you're never going to get all your needs met. So
No.
whoever it is you're dealing with, you're going to have to be able to adjust to say, the relationship is about us as a whole. It's not about what you want. It's not about what I want. But how can we always do what's best for the relationship? And hypothetically, let's say your guy or your girl works a lot or whatever their schedule is. Can you say, hey, I get it. You can't call me all the time, but can you shoot me a text to say, hey, I'm having a good day thinking about you or whatever? Just so they get that communication. You're still engaging in the relationship, even though you have a busy schedule.
Mm, absolutely. I agree with that
So
too.
it's about compromise and understanding. That's what it comes down to, right? Because We can't come in a relationship and say, well, I demand this. I
No.
demand, because a lot of people do that. They'll say, well, I need you to call me 3 times a week. That sounds demanding. So that sounds like if I don't call you 3 times a week, you are going to withdraw love from me. That's
Yeah.
exactly what the person's saying. If you don't do this, I'm withdrawing this from you.
And
But
it's
then it's
very conditional, isn't it? It becomes
exactly,
extremely
it's very
conditional.
conditional. But when you can say, hey, I can't call you 3 times a week, but I can give you a solution where I can text message you or leave you a voice note 3 times a week. Give them a solution. That's what I would say more than anything. Because if you just tell your, I can't call you 3 times a week, what? Why not? Hey, I can't call you 3 times a week, but what I can do is this. You see how different it sounds?
Absolutely. And it's again, it comes down to being having that respect for one another. And if you've got that respect for one another, there's a massive difference. When you don't respect someone, you don't want to do you just don't want to do anything that they speak to you about. And I'm talking from experience. Like I'm talking from knowing being in a relationship that I lost respect for the person
Yeah.
because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all these different reasons. That was yes, it was it was conditional in that sense, because there was, I allowed a certain amount of time to go past and nothing was changing. So,
It is.
and I'd voiced so many times, but I wasn't being heard. Yes, he would sit and listen, but I wasn't being heard. So then eventually it got to a point where I just felt there was just no
You checked out.
I checked out. I've just felt, well, I don't even feel any respect. I don't actually want to hear, even if you change now, I don't care.
Yeah,
Like,
you checked out
I
a long
checked out
time ago.
completely. So, and I think that's just what happens. We all have a certain, what's the word, my
Threshold, because there is
threshold. Yeah,
no such thing as conditional love. It's always going to be conditional.
yeah, you mean unconditional. Yeah, I mean, there's unconditional love to, um, I would say, to your children.
To
Uh,
your children, your parents, and your pets.
yeah, that's
That's
it.
it.
That's it. But when it comes to somebody who
When it comes to people, there's
yeah,
always going to be conditions.
there's going to be conditions, because the way you kind of look at it is there's another person in your life. If they're bringing you pure drama, pure problems, pure everything, you're going to say, if I remove that person, then I don't have those problems anymore, because they're not my problems. But if they, so you kind of look at that person as like an object. That sounds really
Well,
crazy.
I'll give you a better thing. That's like marrying someone and saying, "Hey, I'm not meeting any of the conditions. I'm just going to marry you. I'm not meeting any of the financial conditions. I'm not meeting any of the meet your needs conditions. I'm doing nothing. I'm just going to marry you." See how long that marriage lasts.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a
It's not.
marriage, there's conditions. There's going to be, can we get a home? Is there a certain level of provision? Are there going to be kids? There are going to be needs that are going to have to be met to make that marriage work. That just shows that there are conditions.
Even down to making food, like everyone's going to eat every single day. So if that's not in play, like who's like there might be somebody loves cooking, and if they decided, if you haven't got that in, if say no, but say none of them like cooking, both of them don't like cooking in this relationship, and it comes down to moving in, what you're going to do? Starve? You're going to live on takeaways? What's the
Yeah.
solution,
Mhm.
or is one going to start cooking just because, and then they're going to become resentful because they're like, well, I'm cooking, but I told you I don't like cooking. And they said, yeah, well, I told you I don't like cooking. So why am I doing the cooking and you're not doing it? Do you know what? It can just spiral from the most normal thing that we do as humans, and that's eat. So I think, yeah, there's so much,
Conditions need to be met. It is what it is. Like, we
yeah,
might not like it as human beings, but there are certain conditions that are always going to, especially even in a friendship. You're not going to be friends with someone that lies to you, cheats, steal, like does whatever for you. There are certain conditions to be friends with individuals. You need to
yes,
add certain type of value to their life for them to want to deal with you.
yeah,
They're
yes,
not going to deal with you if like you are doing crooked things, bad things. There is going to have to be some type of conditions.
yeah, for sure.
Because think about it. with any business you do with Apple, Amazon, there are conditions. Why do you think they have terms and conditions at the bottom of anything you sign, or when you deal with anybody? There's always going to be terms and
Good
conditions, man.
point. Good
It's just
point,
we don't like
Michael.
them.
Yeah, very good point there. Everything has terms and conditions. Just
Yeah,
so on
everything
point.
has terms and conditions. And
Yes,
that's why there's laws.
yes, 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 yes.
So yeah, we'll continue on the video, guys.
Expect to get respect if you're not giving respect. You can't expect to get understanding if you're not giving understanding. And one of the things that I tell people, man, if you get obsessed with lighting the other person up, with making the other person smile, with doing for the other person, your friends, your significant other, whoever, your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, best friend, partner in business, if you get obsessed with bringing out the best in them, it becomes contagious throughout a relationship. But when we get in a selfish mode, when we think that it's all about us, that's when you build disconnect. You should be obsessed with lighting that person up. They should be obsessed with lighting you up. You should be obsessed with making them smile. You should be obsessed with bringing joy to their heart instead of tears to their eyes. You should be obsessed with bringing confidence to their life instead of stress to their life. And when you have that congruency in a relationship, it becomes powerful. And I promise you, it's reciprocated. But if you're always thinking about, oh, what I'm not getting, then we become blind to what we're not giving, because maybe if you treated that person like a king, maybe he would operate that way. Maybe if you treated that woman like a queen, she would operate that way. Maybe if you treated that friend like they deserve to be treated, maybe they would operate like that. And I'm not saying you can make a person become who they don't want to become. Don't take this out of context. But tonight, I want to focus on that, because sometimes we're expecting a person to become something or be something, and we're not treating them like that. Right? So think about that. Selfishness will never create togetherness. In a relationship, you should be more into taking away the stress than being the stress. You should be more into adding peace to their life instead of adding chaos to their life. Okay, so that's number two. Okay, selfishness will never create togetherness. Number three, why relationships fail. And I'm kind of piggybacking off of number two. We don't do this enough. Okay? And I'm going to use the word obsession, which is a strong word, but I'm talking about a positive obsession. Let me tell you this. I put this in a beautiful quote that makes sense. Would you, try to think of the best way to put this, you wouldn't expect a beautiful garden without watering the plants, right? So why are you expecting a beautiful relationship without watering that person's needs? You wouldn't expect, right, a beautiful garden. Right? You wouldn't expect that. You wouldn't expect to have a beautiful garden without taking care of the garden. And so many times in relationships, we expect to have a beautiful relationship without taking care of that other person, right? Without looking out for that other person, without praying for that other person, without helping that other person. And it makes no sense, right? Ignoring your partner's needs and still expecting a beautiful relationship is like ignoring your plants need water and still expecting a beautiful garden. I'm gonna repeat. Yeah, that's a quote right there. Ignoring your partner's needs. You hear me? Ignoring your partner's needs, because I'm not making excuses for anybody. But when you ignore your partner's needs and then they become something because they're being ignored, you got to make sure you're fulfilling that person's needs, your friends or whoever it may be, whatever your situation may be. So I'm going to repeat that quote. Ignoring your partner's needs and still expecting a beautiful relationship is like ignoring your plants need water and still expecting a beautiful garden. It's insane. Okay, it's not going to happen. Fulfill their needs. Become obsessed with it. Last but not least, because we got to go to Instagram. Okay, it's about to be 9:30. So make sure y'all follow me to IG right after this, at Trent Sheldon, all 4,500 of you. Last but not least, okay, you have to support each other.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry. See, the thing about needs, and I'm going to wrap it up. You see, the thing about needs that he said, if you're dealing with somebody, they know your needs and you know theirs, right? So, with that being said, you don't have to ask them to service your needs. They automatically know what you need.
Yeah,
And
because
I
you've had the
think,
conversation, right?
yeah, but that's the thing. You've had the conversation. You see what I'm saying? Like, as he says, you're watering their needs. You know what their needs are, and they know what your needs are. So, you guys are watering each other. I think that is the most important thing. That is one important thing out of a multitude of things that he said, because one of the other biggest things that he said is stop trying to change people into things that they're not. If someone doesn't want to be a king, why are you trying to make them one? If they don't want to be a queen, why are you trying to make them one? Don't date them.
Mm-mm. It's so true, right? So true. You can't make anybody want to be something. It's up to them to do that. It completely always
Yeah,
comes
if they
back
don't
down
want to
to
be
yourself.
that, then they don't want to be that.
Yeah, you got to let
And
them
I
be
think
what
that's
they
the
want to
most
be.
important thing is stop trying to force your ideology of who you want someone to be um, to fit your needs. Just find someone that's like that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
If they're not like that, fine, no problem. Find someone else that is. And
And
I
it,
think the last point that he made about supporting each other, I think that's a dead giveaway. But yeah, you should support each other.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like you've always, like I always hear you say, if somebody's coming up arguing and just not listening, and just everything that you bring to the table, they want to argue that point, or yeah, be not being agreeable with you. It's like, well, that's not supporting one
No,
another.
then they don't know how to conduct themselves. I
No,
I wouldn't date somebody. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's so important, and we're going to talk about it on the next podcast about vetting people. You need to date someone that's emotionally mature.
yes,
That is not a child. I'm not calling you a child, but what I am saying is acting like a child.
yeah, it's a
Doesn't
child
mean you're a child.
mentality. No, but
Yeah, a
there's
childlike
a
mentality.
yeah,
So
childlike.
when you don't get your way, you're pouting, you're angry, you're upset, you say hurtful things. That's childlike.
Yeah,
We're adults. We're mature. Things are going to happen. Situations are going to happen. It's how do we handle them maturely?
absolutely.
That's what it comes down to. So if you cannot handle situations maturely, or like you're not getting your way and you're throwing a fit, then you're not ready for a relationship. It is what it is. You need to take some time away and you need to go heal. You need to go work on yourself, because that type of mentality is not productive for a relationship. You guys are going to disagree on things, and it's, can you talk them out? How quickly can you get back to peace?
Yeah, once that argument phase kicks in and people go into argument after argument after argument, then there is no communication, there is no
No.
hearing, there is no listening, there is no respect. Everything that you know to that we've spoken about today in this podcast has it's not there. And unless you can understand each other's needs and wants and actually hear it, and yeah, then you're not going to get past that argumentative stage. And I think sometimes people that get into that stage of that pure argument actually is the end of the relationship, because they don't know how to go back and actually be not go back
Well,
because
some people think
going forward.
arguing is communication.
Yeah,
Some
yeah, yeah,
people,
yeah. People actually only know that to be communication, just to argue. Yeah, I hear an argument and my headphones go in. Don't want to hear it. Not interested. I've got no
see, and
time
that's what's
for it.
interesting how different we are, because me, I shut that down right away. Once you start to argue with me, I'm like, knock it off.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I'm
you're a
talking about
mature adult.
if I hear other people arguing, I don't
Oh
want to
yeah, yeah. But I
hear
meant
it.
like if you're dealing with it in a romantic or
Yeah,
even a friendship thing, I'm like, yo,
yeah, shut
knock it
that
off.
down. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
listening
like I
to
shut it
that.
down like right now.
Don't want to hear it.
But a lot of people are very afraid to enter into that space because they're like, well, what if they leave? And again, I'm never, when we say these things, it's not to be rude.
No.
If somebody tells you to your face, knock it off or shut it down, don't get all pissy about it. Well, who do you think you're talking to? Clearly, you're doing something that is upsetting that individual. And I don't like it when people say, well, who do you think you're talking to? You're not supposed to talk to. I wasn't rude. I didn't tell you to shut it the F down. I said, shut it down.
Mm.
We don't do this here.
No arguments. There's no need for arguments. We can speak with and communicate on a normal level. And if something can get heated or can get into a debate, that's different. But to go
That's
into an
different.
argument, let's just don't. There's no. What are you arguing about? What like
Yeah,
no one's
shut it
ever
down.
gonna. Yeah, there's no one's ever gonna take. If
No,
they
nobody
agree,
wins.
no, there is never a winning situation in an argument because one's not going to take the other and go, yeah, okay, you're right, all of a sudden, and take that. No, there's no need for it. Let's talk about it. Let's have
Well,
a
most of the
debate.
times people will tell you that you're right to shut you up so you stop arguing.
And that doesn't work either because
And
it's
that
going
doesn't work either.
to come up again because you just agreed to something that actually you don't agree with. So it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to end up in the same
Exactly.
vicious circle again.
Exactly. So, anyways, guys, hopefully you take something away from it. We have 2 more episodes coming up this week, Wednesday and Friday. Next week, which is leading up to Christmas, guys, we'll only be going live, I believe, Monday. Yeah, I believe we'll be doing live Monday, and then we're probably gonna wait until after the holidays to come back.
So I'm just going to check the date out for that. Uh, next Monday is the 20th.
Yeah,
So what we're saying is that we'll be live on the 20th, and then that's it, right?
just until after the holidays. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then we'll announce when we're back, or
Yeah, for sure. We'll
cool.
announce when we're back. Yeah, it's just again we want to take a break ourselves. We've been pumping out content like crazy. It'll give us a chance to fine tune some things, give you guys a chance to go spend time with your family, us to spend time with our families, and then yeah, we'll be right back at it. So again, thank you very much for taking the time to spend with us, and we will speak very, very soon, guys.
Take care, everyone.